Now it's working.
It's
Right.
working.
Great.
Fantastic. Hi, everybody. Hi, Waad. Hi, Storai. It's so lovely to see you. Thank you all so much for joining. Thanks, everybody. Um, Waad, Storai, I'm so happy to see you both. I wish we were in person together, but I guess then an Instagram Live wouldn't work so well.
Yeah, I
Um,
wish that as well.
yeah. Thank you, I can see lots of people continuing to join as well. So thank you, everybody. Waad and Story join us today on World Human Rights Day. World Human Rights Day also marks the end of the 16 days of activism to end violence against women. Hopefully, lots of people have seen on our social media channels that we've been sharing our It's Not Okay campaign. And we've been asking our incredible community, lots of people, lots of whom are watching this evening, I hope, to share and to use their voices for change. And so I am very, very delighted to be joined by two incredible women who always use their voices for change, Waad Al-Kateab and Storai Ahmadi. Thank you both so much for being with us. I'm just going to do a bit of an introduction to both of you, and then I have a number of questions that I'm sure lots of people want to hear the answers to. So Waad, I think lots of people will know who you are, and this is the second time I have the pleasure of introducing you. Waad is a multi-award winning journalist, filmmaker and activist. In 2011, when protests against the Assad regime swept across Syria, Waad taught herself to film and became a citizen journalist, determined to document the horrors that she saw around her. Waad's incredible documentary For Sama is the story of her life, filmed over 5 years in Aleppo. Follows her life story. It shows her falling in love and marrying a Dr. Hamza, who we love, and having their first daughter, Sama, in a hospital that came under repeated attack. Since leaving Syria, Waad has turned the incredible response to the For Sama documentary into action and created the Action for Sama campaign, which is a campaign to end the targeting of healthcare facilities in Syria. Waad, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to
Thank
see you.
you.
And Storai, my incredible colleague, it's so wonderful to see you. Storai is a former member of Women for Women International's teams in Afghanistan. Last August, Storai left Afghanistan for the UK, and even though she and her family are adjusting to a new life in a new country, Storai is still using her voice to advocate for women in Afghanistan from afar. Storai, thank you so much for being here. It's such a pleasure to see you. I think as other NGOs are discovering, Women for Women International is still trying to adjust to program under the new government in Kabul, but we have been assured that we're going to be able to restart programming really soon. So we hope to be able to talk a bit about that tonight and also as we go into the future. So let's get started. People are not here to hear me speak. They're absolutely here to hear you speak. So to both of you, you have both witnessed the effects that war has on women. You've both seen firsthand the violence that women face in times of crisis. And you've also both left your home countries because of conflict. Can you talk to us a bit about that, and also why you personally both feel it's important to be making a difference for people? Waad, for you in Syria, and Storai for you in Afghanistan. Maybe Waad will come to you first.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's really my honor to be here and also to be alongside with Storai. Very nice to meet you, Storai. I am really sad because we've never had chance before, but I hope next days will be. Hopefully we'll meet together. I mean, the question is really important, and it's critical and basic thing. I mean, as women, as part of this community, it is our role and our responsibility to try to do this. What's happening in Syria, what's happening in Afghanistan, in so many other countries, you can't just close your eyes and pretend that it's okay. It's never okay. It should never be okay. And maybe part of the anger that we have, it's about how this has been acceptable now while we are in 2021. So I think this is just something naturally we all should be coming together to do and to work for.
Thank you. Storai.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Waad. It's nice to meet you too. Yes, all those who works for women rights organizations in Afghanistan there and their family members are at risk, and most of them are evacuated to so many other countries, and I'm one of those who is evacuated to UK. And in first days, I was like, I'm currently in the hotel, and the whole hotel are the Afghans who are evacuated to UK. The first days here, I was working voluntarily with an union. I communicated the first needs of the women and also their children, and that union responded immediately, which was great, and that was the need for Afghan women here because of the language barrier. And for women in Afghanistan, and I'm sure in Syria also, they are experiencing different types of violence. Physical violence, sexual violence, psychological violence. But currently in Afghanistan, the economical violence is too high, and that leads to so many other violence into their lives. And why I'm interested to work for them, when I was too young and going to school, it was very difficult for me to see children on the street. Instead of going to school, they were begging or searching for valuable things from the garbages. I wanted to help them do something, but it was very difficult for me to find ways how to do that. But when I graduated, I found chance to work for women. There I learned that if we work for women, it's like we are not only working for her, we are working for her whole family, for her children, even for the next generation. So investing on women is like making the foundation of a society or a community. So this is the reason. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for sharing some of your experience since you've gotten to the UK. I didn't know some of that actually, so thank you. Waad, last week you gave a very powerful speech to the UN Security Council, and you talked to them about the anger you feel for the suffering that's still going on in Syria. Can you tell us a bit about that? And then also, for those that don't know, a bit more about the campaign Action for Sama.
Yeah, so I was invited alongside with another Syrian activist, Omar Shghri, to brief the UN Security Council about accountability in Syria. And what accountability in Syria and where and what's happening now, it's far away from that session. But honestly, my main kind of fear about going there and sitting there, talking about what we want as Syrian is for me to get into that system and start to feel that, part of this, I will have so much hope that, I'm going and, speaking before the countries who controlling the whole world, this is can't be going for nothing. But at the same time, I do and did and still believe that this won't change anything. So many Syrians have spoke in that council for years. So many conversation were opened, and then veto after veto, all was just rejected to act or to do anything to Syria. So why this time that something will be changed? So I was really challenging myself to not hold any hope for that, but also not to reflect this hope to the Syrian people who is going to watch, and to feel that I'm going there. I had very big responsibility to deliver something all the Syrian people really feel, which is more about you didn't do anything. And I had to say that very honestly and very I was really angry, and I wanted just to be as I really was. So I spoke, and for me it was really important to be there. But again, I wasn't feeling that I might change anything. I know this might be very disappointing for so many people. It is for me as well, but this is the truth of what we are going through. As activists, we've been trying to knock on every door, everywhere. From the normal people in the street to the high level of decision makers or politicians. But where is this change? It needs a very collective will, that something not just statements. And we have heard in the UN Security Council so much amazing words and amazing tone that they want to do something. But are we really believe this? Like, there is something bigger than all of us, and we have all to acknowledge this, and we have to keep working and hold on to every small hope and every level of impact we can feel and we can make. And I mean, I don't know when, I don't know how, but I still believe that what's happening in Syria won't stay like this forever. So I don't know. I hope, I'm trying to do my best. And that's why actually we did Action for Sama. This was kind of like respond to the amazing reaction that the audience gave us after the film was released. So we're trying to raise more awareness about Syria. We're trying to partner and do like programs with other organizations who really cares about human rights, about women, about children, about education, about healthcare, which is the main message we have in our campaign is stop bombing hospitals, which is more related to Russia, Iran, the Syrian regime, but also to all the other countries who's watching hospitals being bombed and being attacked by Russia, Iran, and the Syrian regime, and they just do nothing. So I hope our message could reach everyone and everywhere. And I understand that there's so much work toward that day.
Well, you're definitely doing a lot of that work, and I love how you say you're holding on to what small piece of hope you've got there. And also, even though you felt not loads of hope on the way there, you still went, you still used your voice. So thank you so much. We need more people like you, definitely. Storai, as you know, today is World Human Rights Day. Can you talk a bit about this at the beginning in your first response? But can you maybe talk about what you see as the biggest challenges facing women in Afghanistan right now, and what can we do about these things?
Thanks for the question. Currently in Afghanistan, women are facing extreme poverty and isolation. I would like to talk about the economical violence, which leads to so many other violences. When women were allowed to work and earn income in previous government, Women for Women International have conducted what works research. And the result was showing 44% reduction and intimate partner violence, and 55% reduction in severe physical violence. And all these were violence reduction were because there was reduction in food insecurity. So it means that when women got engaged in economic activities, they help their partners in providing the basic needs of the family, and that helped them to change the household dynamic. And of course, that has effect on raising their children, and also that changed their lives too, that the violence reduced against them. But now pretend when they don't have the right to work, and also there is not much economic activities for them, not only for them, also for their male family members. There is not much economic activities to earn enough income. So the biggest challenge for a mother is that her child go to bed without any food. Therefore, I'm begging for the international aids that please start work in Afghanistan as soon as they can, because people are starving there. And what Women for Women International has planned, we will provide them with some vocational trainings like poultry and kitchen gardening, tailoring, also with toolkits, so that they can start their business, serve for their family and also for their community. And also currently we are busy with conducting a survey to find out their critical long-term need, and the next step will be based on the survey that we are conducting.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we're all very much looking forward to being able to kind of get back out there and do more work. And I think it's really interesting. I don't think people talk enough about economic violence against women as well. So thank you so much for talking about that. I think it's really important. Okay, so I talked earlier about today being the final day of our 16 Days of Activism campaign to end violence against women. And as two very determined and passionate activists in your own right, I hope you've been following the campaign. We've been asking our followers on social media to share selfies, holding up signs with their "It's Not Okay" statement connected to the campaign. So I wanted to ask you both what your "It's Not Okay" statement would be, and also if you had to pick one standout issue that's facing women, what would that be? Storai, we'll come to you first.
I chose "It's not okay to force young girls into marriage." Because the economical crisis in Afghanistan made people to force their young girls to marry with someone whom they totally don't know, or whom can be drug addicted, or whom can be 3 times elder than them. Why is this? Because they are not able to feed the family members. So the dowry that they receive that can help them to feed the sibling of the young girl and also the other family members. So that increased the child marriage. So this economical crisis increased the child marriage. Yeah.
Thank you. I think this is one of the reasons I think this campaign is really powerful, because we're talking about things that people often don't talk about. People often don't understand that these things happen, and they happen because of economic crisis. So thank you. Waad, what about yours?
Yeah, so I just joined the campaign today, and I was watching like a lot of the stories from other people in the past like couple of days, and I just think really like every sentence was written was really important. And what's is really sad that all of this issue is still happening in various places, like even here in the UK. And I chose the one saying like it's not okay to stand by in silence when a woman like being harassed in the street. And I just felt like this is something really like common everywhere, and it's kind of like rely on the power of, I mean, I'm sorry to bring this back again to the same thing, but similar to what's happening in Syria, you know, maybe you're not the one who's like doing this like mistake or crime or wrong thing or whatever is it, but you are someone who's watching and being silent, and that's also like being silent on something you don't agree with is kind of like literally dealing with the same like mistake or same crime, I would say. And this is something like we have power, you know, when we are in such a place like that. And what it's really need from us is just encouragement, like a little bit courage to just like stand and say no. And I've been through this. I'm sure like every woman around the world has been through something like this. And we've been in the place when we are watching something like this. But how we can really make difference, and we can, you know, like I understand exactly what Storai said about the marriage, like an early age, which is something awful. But sometimes like the people who kind of force others to do is maybe like the parents, maybe the situation, maybe so many things, which is, it's not easy like to give them alternative, you know, which is totally, I don't absolutely like agree with that, but it need like so many, you know, like conversation to kind of, or like work to give them alternative to this like totally like mistake. But then something when you see someone in the street, you know, like even if you are another woman, like just speaking out, like don't be okay with anything, not of all of these like things. So yeah, I hope we can all do something together.
It's that breaking that silence, because silence normalizes things. Silence makes people think that we're okay with it, and I think that is a big part of the problem. And a reason for this campaign is about using your voices and speaking out. And as I think both of you know, part of the Women for Women International programme is about training women in their rights. And it's my favourite part of the programme. I absolutely love it. I think it's really, really powerful. And, you know, one of the things women learn about is their right to not have violence perpetrated against them, and then they learn how to speak up about that and stand up for those rights. And that's why I think it's my favorite part. Anyone that will listen, I talk to about the rights training. And in Afghanistan, someone gave me a stat earlier that basically said that by the time women graduate, 40% of women feel like they are able to speak out and challenge when they see violence against women or when they see abuse against women. And that increases from 2% when women join the program. So that is very important for us. And I think maybe a very good place for us to finish, because I feel like that is actually the crux of it, Rod. What you said there is about not being silent. But before we finish, is there anything on that kind of note that either of you want to say before I wrap things up and thank you both? Anything else that you really wanted to say, talking about not being silent? Is there anything else you wanted to say before we finish?
I would like to add that if we want to end gender-based violence, we have to educate our boys, I mean our son. We have to educate them that they respect women, their sister, their mother. And the important point is that they need to be raised in a society where there is respect for women. But if it is in a society where there is no respect for women, so gender-based violence will never end.
Yeah, I agree totally with Storai of what she's saying. Yeah, I mean, like the main thing, like it is in their heart and in their mind, but just I think the community and so many other like issues come over this, because in so many places, like any man or someone who have power, they don't speak to their wives or to their daughters in the same way how they speak to their mothers. Mm-hmm. And like the respect of that is different, not because she's just a woman, like there is kind of like layers of misunderstanding in their relationship and life and even existence, because of this. And yeah, I mean, we talked about this in the event when we had like, we have allies and we need our allies. And yeah, I think this is not just like for women, it's for the whole community, for our future. So we have all to be working on this.
Absolutely, I totally agree. This is not just about us. I mean, I know we're 3 women on this call, but yeah, the conversation is way bigger than that. It's why Women for Women International has a men's engagement program. We need everybody, we need everyone to stop being silent about violence against women. We need men to challenge their friends, their sons, their uncles, their fathers, and we need everybody to take part in this. I think that's a really good place to kind of wrap things up this evening. I just want to say thank you.
It was very quick. I couldn't feel the time actually.
I know it goes so quickly. It goes so quick. Also, Waad, I could speak to you for ages, and also Storai, we haven't had enough time together, so maybe we should.
I'm also looking forward to speak with Storai a lot. So yeah, I'm really like very nice to meet you, Storai.
I feel like this could be the start of many more of these conversations.
Sure, yeah.
But yes, thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
And for sharing some really personal things, Waad, for sharing your anger and concerns. And Storai, thank you so much for being here and for sharing some of your experience when you first got to the UK. I know that must have been really difficult, and we really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you to everyone that has watched and been here this evening as well. Please do go to our links in bio and have a look at joining our campaign. If you haven't already shared your selfie and your It's Not Okay statement, please do go and do that. Over nearly 700 people have already signed on to the It's Not Okay pledge and are raising their voices in the way that Waad and Storai do so often. So thank you all so much. Please make sure that if you do post a selfie, you use the hashtag It's Not Okay, and you tag at Women for Women and at Women for Women UK. Thank you so much to everybody. But Waad and Storai, this has been an absolute pleasure to be here and ask you these questions. And I look forward to seeing you both again very soon. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.